Hey there, it's Amanda Creative Gardener, and I wanted to give you it's a mini update, and it's not a revelation, but it might be a revelation. It's not a revelation for me. It was several years ago, but it might be a revelation for somebody else. So many years ago, a neighbour, she gave me what plant was it? Oh gosh. It was like a castor oil plant. It was of the same family. And she had it in a pot. And they grow really big. And one of the things she said was that, and I don't know how it didn't dawn on me, was that you can decide how big or small you want a plant to grow. So we know where people, do bonsai, the plants have been restricted and cut. And that can be the same for your garden. You can either have massive trees, so this is probably one of the biggest, the moringa tree. And since I have let it grow, the one of the uses, I don't get to use the leaves because they're so high. I don't get to use the trumpets. The only I would say people in the garden, but the only things in the garden that get the benefit are the birds because they perch up there. The parakeets, they eat the seeds from the moringa drumsticks. The flowers, they often fall, I guess, yeah, so I do get a benefit. They fall, and sometimes the paths are covered with little flowers. But I made a decision and I cut back. You can see some of the parts where I've cut back, but mostly I've just let it grow. Again, it can be a nesting place for whatever bird wants to nest in there. And as the leaves drop, they'll drop on the paths, on the beds, so that's a use. But a lot of people complain about trees becoming so tall they can't manage them, and that is the case. But you have to decide, quite early on what you're going to allow your tree to do and whether it's going to become overwhelming. Now I've got about 100 different varieties of trees and plants, and it was, last I counted, say a couple of months ago, about 200 trees. So I would count this like there's 3 baby moringa trees here. So when I counted them all, there was about 200, and there's probably more now with more plants springing up, especially the Quadrilla indica, which, let me show you around here. So this one just appeared, and thanks for the birds. And these are the seed pods, and they have about 8 to 10 seeds. But as you can see, the birds left this one, and then this one appeared, and now this one. So as the seeds are dropping. So I made a decision for this particular one, because it can grow 20, 30 feet, to keep it at a certain height. And that's what you have to do. You have to decide and train your plants to stay at a particular height. And you also have to make a decision, and I think it's a wise one, where you start to chop and drop. So I've made from a lot of the branches of the shack tree, I've used it to create deadwood hedges, and just use them like this. This separates me from the next the farmer next door, and there's a mound that goes all the way around. But I thought, well, let me just start putting, I've got Mexican sunflower. We've got 3 moringa trees here, and one of the moringa trees dropped a seed, so he's got one next door. But let me use, there's poor Cole. He stepped on something, I haven't yet identified it, just before we came into the house. Hey, and he's limping. There's no cut. He's not been bitten. So I think maybe he just landed on it as he was frolicking, galloping around the place. Anyway, so again, these I've just left. There's some blackbirds that perch in here, all different types of birds. And again, we've got the drumsticks there, so it's providing food for mostly the parakeets who can get into it. They usually get it when it's brown, and it's easy to crack then. So I've gone around the garden and I've decided, like this pomegranate tree, it's growing here, it's growing underneath this tree. I've still yet to find out what it is. I'm waiting to see if it will flower or fruit. That would be good. But I've decided that this is going to be its height, and it's going to be able to spread out, just say within a couple of feet around it, but no more, because I don't want to lose access to the paths. I don't want it coming over here because I've got other pomegranate trees. So that said, recently cut back the mahogany tree, as you can see here. I did a video of it, and it's coming back. The leaves that were left on it are sprouting, and in no time, in a few months, it will be, it was like double the size. So this size, double the size. It was covering or shading a lot of the house on this side. And then this tree as well, it's the same as this, but it was all over, it was hanging over all of here. And so I got the guy to cut that back. And as you can see now, I'm creating a little hedge type here with some Pride of Barbados, and this is, I keep calling it orange blossom, but it has orange scented leaves. So these plants were coming over the path, and since they've now got some airspace, they're now going to grow up straight. And yeah, so I want to create a hedge here, and I need to, now it's been cut and I've managed to clear all of the branches, I've got to do a bit of tidying up around here. I've got another plant here I'm not quite sure of. This is the clammer cherry. So when I had a fence here, which is this, now spread it this way, the clammer cherry was holding it up, and now I can make use of the other piece of fencing there, and I'm going to take it, there's a little hole under there. So using what you have and trying to be inventive, and if you're on a very small budget and you've got things you want to do around the garden, sometimes you are able to, or very often, you should try to think about, well, can I make it? Is somebody giving it away? Is it, marked down? Has somebody got a second-hand version? And I'm using the plants as a hedge. See, these have now grown up. These were all grown from seed, and they should be thickening out soon. I've just got to trim them, but they're going to be trimmed to a certain level. So all of these, as you can see, can grow as thick as this and as tall. This was 20 feet, and it's been cut, and it still needs a bit of cutting. I just want to keep it compact, the same as the mahogany tree. And you also see that with, I've seen it with the neem trees you see around the place. See this quadrilla indica, I was going to cut this back there, but then our birds decided to build a nest. You see it? I think it's its nest there. A banana quit. And having a variety of different size trees means that you attract different types of birds. So the neem tree is growing. This was grown from seed. It's growing really well. But, oh, there's a heavenly smell coming from the henna. So I want to kind of take off these branches here, again, to keep it more compact. The ones you see kind of lining streets and things are kind of have been trained and have been clipped to hang a certain way, in the sense of not hang a certain way, but they don't go over a certain height. So you've just got to do what you can. And then I've got the other things that I've got to cut back, other trees, is the shack tree. So I normally clip this a bit lower. It's got higher than it would normally grow. So I need to get it cut back before the rainy season starts in earnest. Here's another example of keeping the pomegranate low. I've kept this one low. This one over here I allowed to grow tall, but now obviously I can't get the fruit at the top. And this one's having a bit of trouble because the fruit is splitting before they ripen. But I've kept this one low, again, because it's just like, well, there's several here. There's 5 trees growing here together. So I just need to come back and clip off any stray looking branches there. But the shack tree, this one, is going to get trimmed, and we've got one just down here. So when you just this one here. So over the past couple of months it's grown really tall. So I would cut this branch here and this branch. It would still provide some shade to this area. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come here. Come here. Come on. What are you doing? What are you doing? Cool. Anyway, so yeah, trim this back because, again, when it gets too tall, it's going to obstruct the view from the window. And all of this, even from the top of the house, or these 2 shack trees are obstructing the view further down into the other garden. So that's one of the tasks, that's one of the many tasks that I do when, let's see, he's still insistent on running all over the place even though he's limping. I have to give him a, just keep an eye on it over the next few days. So yeah, in this particular spot we've got trees that want to grow tall. So again, we've got the shack tree you can see behind, and those branches have to be cut off or trimmed. We've got clemmer cherry tree here, and this was sown from seed, but now, as you can see, it's growing up into the moringa trees. We've got moringa trees here, and then I planted some Jamaican guinea, and these can grow 30-40 feet, but I'm keeping these particular ones short. I've got several in the garden. There's a couple that I'm going to allow to grow to full size, but the rest I'm going to keep short. And then as they grow, I use whatever leaves or branches and lay it down on the beds, use it as chop and drop, and keep it going like that until it, I'm not sure when they're going to fruit. They're a couple of years old now. It's probably about another couple of years before they fruit. But yeah, so keeping your plants at a level that you can manage, and then you can have as many different plants as you like. And looking up at some of the principles for, bonsai, and adopting some of those principles. Even for mangoes, you can have a tree that's at a manageable size that you can reach all the fruit. It doesn't have to grow really tall, unless you've got the space, of course. But I've got a few that I'm not sure about the coconut tree, whether I can, how much I can trim this. I'm just hoping that, keep saying to it, are you a dwarf? A dwarf coconut tree. It's growing steadily, and that's a couple of years old. Maybe it should be growing a bit taller. Again, just keeping things compact so that I can reach them, it's manageable, and you don't get overwhelmed. I mean, I do want a food forest. We'll have our food forest, but a food forest where we can grab hold of all the food, access all the food in the garden. So I hope that's been useful. Remember, you can grow whatever you want to grow, even if it's in a pot. That restricts their growth. Again, don't plant things too close to the house. The roots, disturbance of the foundations. And, every now and again, clip them back, clip the trees back, cut them back, trim them, so that you can keep it at a size that's manageable for you. All right, take care for now.